The council sold these houses knowing they had RAAC at full market price. They now want to buy them back, deducting the value of replacing RAAC from the value of the property. They're benefiting from essentially their own misdeeds. That cannot be right. It most definitely isn't fair. I was fortunate enough to be spoken to by the head of estates, Stephen Booth. Really what he was saying was just complete and utter nonsense. One of the questions I was asked is, well, why would you buy property that's well past its useful life? Which my instant answer was, I'd expect to be told it's past its useful life. Isn't that something that should be written into the home report? Honestly, it feels like the council have declared war on Torry. St.Fitticks Park, the waste incinerator that they built, they're now looking to demolish these properties. I'm not going. They'll have to drag me out. I bought my house from a private seller in 2021. People I bought the house from bought it from the council in 2014, which is still relatively recent. In October 2023, there was basically an announcement in the newspapers that there was houses in Ballinagask that they suspected had RAAC, and they pointed out it was this area. I then, the following day, received a letter from the council saying that they suspected that my house contained RAAC and this was a dangerous material, blah, blah, blah. And they were going to do some spot checks on houses to confirm that that was the case. They offered to speak to us one-to-one. I preferred a public meeting so that everyone got the same answer to the same question. That did not go well. I was, needless to say, furious that now facing the real prospect of having only 4 years after purchasing a house being told that my house was now worthless. So it was shock, disbelief and anger all hitting at the same time. We then had to wait for several months until they confirmed by inspecting other houses that RAAC was present. They came out with an options paper that effectively had 4 options, 2 of which were completely impractical. One of them, it was just putting supports underneath it, which realistically still meant your property was worthless. Other ones that we're talking about then was demolition and just landscaping the place, or demolition and rebuilding new houses. There was one option to replace RAAC with a sturdier material. Ultimately, the council leadership decided against those and decided that demolition and rebuild was the route they were going to go. The reason that they're looking to do it is on safety grounds that the roofs could collapse. The roofs that they've identified, they've only gone as far as being high risk, which means it's not an imminent collapse. Critical would be, they haven't identified any as being critical. They're saying as they buy more houses, they'll check those, and should any turn out to be critical, then they'll look to remove us from our houses. But they can't do that because they haven't inspected our houses. The reports that they keep misquoting is quite clear in there. This material degrades differently from plank to plank, never mind building to building. The council replaced the roof coverings on the houses back between 2009 and 2012. So therefore these are all watertight. There's other houses next door to me, for instance, that didn't take up that option. So they've still got possibly the original, or it being done by someone else, possibly to different standards. So theirs could be degrading rapidly, whereas mine doesn't. Same as the house across the road. Some of the fascias that you can see that are on the properties, they've blown off in storms in some houses, which might lead to an ingress of water, which is severely damaging to the RAAC. So therefore, one house being critical doesn't mean that all houses are critical. To make that assumption surely cannot be lawful, but that's what they're looking to use to try and force us out our houses. The houses can actually be repaired. They're choosing not to do that. They're saying it's not cost effective. 50 million it will take to demolish, and the 250 million that they're quoting to rebuild, that is £250,000 per house. What we were quoted was £50,000 per unit to replace. Their figures don't add up. And we were then facing, well, what value are we going to get? What's going to happen to our properties? We own them. And for months it was very unclear, and then they came up with what they deem as a voluntary acquisition. It isn't a voluntary acquisition. It's effectively a way of getting compulsory purchase orders put in place without all the bureaucracy and checks that are required for it. We are just completely devastated. It's 500 homes in the community are going. 138 homeowners are facing the prospect now of having to sell their houses to the council at ridiculously low prices, way below even what we paid, never mind what the value would be for the properties, without the council imposing what can only be said is a RAAC penalty. The variations on valuations are unbelievable, completely incomprehensible. We've had people in one bedroom houses have been offered 20,000, whilst round the corner, someone in a one bedroom house has been offered 40,000. For 4 bedroom properties, which the council quoted were worth 140,000, we've heard people getting offers as low as 78,000. I'd still be something around about 20 to 30,000 pounds short of the non-RAAC value. That's a heck of a lot of money. To me, with what they're doing in such a concentrated area, it does appear that they've got it in for Torry. There's no other area in Aberdeen that's been hit as hard as Torry has been over the past 5 years by the council. The waste incinerator, St.Fitticks, are now demolishing the houses and giving the homeowners absolutely little or no financial support whatsoever. And I know that there's other areas in Torry that are dithering on development as well. We've got 2 schools that have lain empty that they're supposed to be doing something with, and nothing's happened with them. The other issue we had was around security. The council have said that they've employed now security guards to walk around the area 3 times at night. The other night, we had a group of kids that were going round vandalising places, no security guard in sight. So we're having to become security guards, which is not really fair. Not considering all the other things we've got to worry about now. We've now got to worry about kids putting bricks through our windows because they think the house is empty. This demolition is now imminent because of the recent Housing Committee's decision to proceed with demolition, even though there's still people living here, even though they have only obtained agreement to purchase 22% of the homeowners' homes that are currently occupied. That can't be right. My mortgage goes until March of next year. They force me out by December. That means I'll be paying rent and paying a mortgage for a property I can't access because the council have falsely forced me out of that property. It's very upsetting, as you can tell by my voice. It does get my blood boiling, and I do raise my voice quite a bit. I'm actually now seeking counselling to help me at least cope with this better than I have been. But it's been very difficult because the council are patting themselves in the back for providing this counselling service, but they've done their utmost to ensure that it won't work, that it can't work, because they're continually putting us under more and more stress and more pressure to force us to sell our houses at ridiculously low values. The community has been decimated. Majority of people that were living in here, the 500 homes, have gone. That's had an impact in the local school. There's shops, bars, they've been impacted as well. Their sales have dropped because they're missing a huge chunk of the community. If all of this is settled and they start the demolition, there's a lot of people going to be living in close proximity to a building site. And they're talking about this being a building site between 4 and 5 years. The council has forgotten it's supposed to be a public service. It's not there to defraud the public, and that's what it appears to be doing. They want to resolve it, give us a fair price. They gave me a a value for my house that excludes the RAAC penalty, I'll hand them the keys. Until then, not budging. I'm going nowhere.